heard. That's how crazy it's been today, bro. Alright. Anyways.
Yo, I peeped the American flag. You brought it out today. I see
Yeah,
you.
we back. We back, bro.
Yeah,
Gotta keep it
we're
up this
ready.
strong now.
You get your live access back tomorrow, so you ready to go. That's what you're
Yeah, I'm ready
doing.
to go.
I see what you're
I'm ready
doing.
to go, man. I
All
like to
right,
get
man.
it be Friday, but it is what it is. Let's do this.
We got a doozy today, so let's get right into it. All right. And we're here for another episode. Showtime. I'm Macho. That's Savory. And we're two inner city liberty loving Latinos talking about culture and politics over a drink. I got my coffee today. What you got?
I got my water today, brother. Keeping it simple. Feel me?
Let's do this. Let's tackle the what is it? The decades.
Oh, the decades of inner city chaos, man. That's
Yeah,
what we're doing. We could say it many different ways, bro, but this is what we do here. We just tackle decades and decades of inner city shenanigans.
that
How about
they've
that
been
one?
telling us. They've been trying to feed us to us. So let's get right into this segment. All right, first order of business. Before we get into the meat of this, um, well, we got the convoy that Jojo Bean failed to mention that is probably brewing up, if not already. I heard this morning on my live this morning. I heard about 30 miles of trucks have gotten together in parts of the country in alone,
Mm,
and we the biggest portion of the convoy apparently is called the People's Convoy. But I wanted to make a shout out in this first segment here, Savory, because this is brewing up. This is happening and should be headlines
mhm,
for the reason, not just what in terms of what happened in Canada or
mhm.
specifically Ottawa
Yep.
in Canada is happening here in America. But let's show them what the why the reason as to why they're doing this. Let's
For
check it out.
sure. And another thing I want to highlight is this was a call out, right? This is just a plea. This is the honest kind of breakdown that people don't like to see from the ground level, people themselves, to see what they're saying, right? Cutting through the noise, cutting through the propaganda, cutting through the lies. Like, it's good to always hear what people themselves have to say, man. But let's get to this.
This message is for the President of the United States of America. My name is Kyle Sefcik of the Freedom Convoy USA 2022, and our routes meet here in DC on March 1st in time for your State of the Union address. We are very organized, and our routes are public. I even pulled a permit for the National Mall to be respectful. I just want to be as transparent as possible from the start so there's no confusion. We are coming peacefully, and we're going to do this lawfully and constitutionally. I want the rest of the world to know our plans so that there's no twisting and lying about who and what we are. I'm coming to you as a father, a small business owner who's unaffiliated to any parties. We just want government overreach to end. On behalf of Freedom Convoy USA 2022, we are asking you to end the state of emergency, end the mandates once and for all. Sir, the world is watching us because they know that if what's happening in Canada happens to us here in the land of the free, then freedom as we know it is gone. So we are leaving the choice to you. The decision is in your hands. This whole convoy, this whole assembly on the National Mall, it doesn't even have to happen if you just end things now and we can get on with our lives. To you other convoys that plan on meeting us here, we look forward to seeing you and joining with you. We're gonna do this right. We're gonna do this honorably. Mr. President, we have no other motives in this mission. You see, the government, our elected officials of both parties have failed us tremendously these last 2 years, and now it's time for us, we, the people, to fix this, to end this. We're ready to get back to our lives, the ones promised and guaranteed in the United States Constitution, Bill of Rights, and the contract that you signed and swore an oath to under the one true God. This is simple. End this.
Yo, I like that. That was genuine.
That was powerful. That was genuine and powerful, bro. That was genuine and powerful, you know, and whether we agree or not, right? This is what I'm trying to get through people. It's not the question is not, hey, do you think what he's saying is true? The question is not, hey, no, the question is freedom, right? The question is, are you okay with the direction this country is moving? That's what he's challenging, man. You got to love it. It's way beyond the vaccine. It's the overreach, which is what you heard me talk about since the beginning of this, Macho. It's like it's the principle behind what this government is doing. I've said it since the beginning, because one thing leads to another. And from the beginning, I've been saying this is a dangerous road, and they're taking advantage through this pandemic.
Well, it's again this of all places, he made it very clear. This is supposed to be a free republic, and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't free for 2 years. And we're gonna get into the meat, but I want to give a little sneak peek of some of the thoughts that I had at the State of the Union. Joe Biden, without saying it, literally admitted that the number one leading cause of death was not COVID. So if that was the case, then why did they take such exasperated measures by having us live under such draconian laws? Like literally, this was a government overreach. If it wasn't even number one on the list, number two on the list, number three on the list, then why were we living under such drastic measures? It felt like our freedoms were taken away for 2 years.
And that's a good question. And for people wondering why we play that was a plea from one of the leaders from the Freedom Convoy leading to the State of the Union, right? This is how the connection plays. And this State of the Union now, they're pleading, hey, the State of the Union is coming. We'll be here to either talk about it, meet with us, plead with us, so we can get moving with our lives. But unfortunately, as you hear Macho and I break this down, that's far from what they did.
Far from. Let's get into it, man. Let's talk about this. I think you had a question, and what was the question that you wanted to kind of lead us into this?
I had a question.
You forgot your own question. I think what you put in Slack was the question to guide us through this conversation was how many people are in do people in the Democratic run states pay attention to politics or in the State of the Union? I would even go as far as like, I think it's safe to say like no working person like who is working like double shifts, 9 to 5 or anything like that is running or racing home to watch the State of the Union address, right? Whether Democrat or Republican.
That's safe to say. Definitely safe to say that, which pleads the question about the effectiveness of this and what are they getting across. You know, it feels like a show a little bit, you know.
It most likely is, right? Like this whole setup and the whole it's a masquerading of like, hey, look, we're here and here's what we've been doing. But this one was like particularly interesting because the first few minutes, the 10 minutes of a State of the Union, it's the State of the Union address, right? The first 10 minutes was literally about Ukraine and the Russian conflict. So let's get right into it. Let's dive into this, y'all.
Let's do it.
As Democrats, Republicans, Independents, but most importantly, as Americans, with the duty to one another, to America, to the American people, the Constitution, and an unwavering resolve that freedom will always triumph over tyranny.
Freedom will always triumph over tyranny.
I'm tired of these phrases, man.
What does it even mean anymore?
Yeah, it's like
6 days ago, Russia's Vladimir Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people.
They got flags there. Look, they got, bro.
Ukrainian flags.
They got flags.
Ukrainian
they got scarves
flags, bro.
in the State of the Union address.
They got yellow. They got the yellow vest.
Look at this.
They got the yellow
Look at this.
heart,
President
blue and yellow.
Zelensky.
I can't
This
believe
is-
it. I really
This is like orchestrated in so many angles as far as like the angle they want us to take a look at, right? It's not about right or wrong here. It's just it's difficult to look at it in any other angle when that's the propaganda in front of us in the West.
Well, and I think, yeah, great point. And I think it's like already we're picked a side. We've
Yeah.
completely picked a side here when we said we're going to stay neutral, right? Like,
Exactly.
To every Ukrainian, their fearlessness, their courage, their determination literally inspires the world. Groups of citizens blocking tanks with their bodies. Everyone from students to retirees to teachers
Blocking
turned
tanks
soldiers
with their bodies?
defending their homeland. And in this struggle, President Zelensky said in his speech to the European Parliament, "Light will win over darkness." The Ukrainian ambassador to the United States is here
Yeah,
tonight.
I can't stand this
sitting with the
colloquial
First Lady.
kind of phrases that I hear
Let
every day.
each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world of Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
the ambassador of Ukraine is there. Look.
Wow.
The show, man. This is a show.
The show must go on.
And don't get us wrong, right? Like, don't get us wrong. Like, we know that even with the Republican side, it's a show all around, right? That's the skepticism we have, because it's like, what the hell does this even mean? If you really wanted to meet the American people, you would address specifically down to the root of the American issues that we're facing, where we're at, how we're supposed to look at this, right? And get more in depth about what our role is in it. Okay, that's it. That's all I want to hear.
Different
I don't want to hear
angles.
stand in solidarity, because again, we don't know the whole facts of what's going on, right?
Yeah. They give you that one angle. Crazy.
Bright, she's strong, and she's resolved.
There goes Jill. Good job, Jill. You did good.
Yes. We, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people. Throughout our history, we've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving, and the cost, the threats to America and America to the world keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II. The United States is a member, along with 29 other nations. It matters. American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated.
Latest attack. Okay, so that would contradict a little bit of the narrative in which the headlines are saying invasion. He's saying latest attack, which I think is the most accurate way to depict what's actually going on. Why, Savory? Why would that be the most fitting way to describe what's going on over there?
Well, I actually think when he says attack, he's actually alluding to invasions already in play, right? They've been pushing invasion for a week, so now his continuation is the attack within Ukraine, right? But I see what you're saying. I think you're alluding to attack being more relevant because they're already there, right?
They've been there. They've been fighting
Yeah.
there for like what, 8 years? So it's like
But if
this
you
has
ask
been going
Joe,
on.
he'll describe it as an invasion, though.
Well, that they got to stick to the narrative.
Yeah, so
Did
he
efforts
ain't too
at
sharp.
diplomacy.
We're here, though.
He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. We prepared extensively and carefully. We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin. Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying our European allies. We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning and precisely how we would try to falsify and justify his aggression. We countered Russia's lies with the truth.
He knew how we would falsify his aggression.
Now that he's acted, the free world is holding him accountable, along with 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy, as well as countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and many others. Even Switzerland are inflicting pain on Russia and supporting the people of Ukraine.
70% of our crude oil comes from Russia. Good luck.
Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been. Together,
so we're just going to get all our crude oil from the OPEC nation, which is why it's $105 a barrel, which is apparently going to be projected at $150 soon, if they don't counter this course, if they don't correct the course of this whole issue.
Together.
There you go, guys. Go ahead, get some exercise in.
Supreme Court justices got to be unbiased. Look at them just sitting
together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions.
They can't
We're cutting
clap,
off
bro.
Russia's largest banks from the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble.
Okay.
Making Putin $630 billion.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
I need a second here. All right. This is this whole segment, man. It just came back, right? While I was looking at this, and I'm like, he literally summarized. This is what I think Joe Biden did. He summarized all the headlines. By the way, it's a unifying thing on the right and the left now, but the entire mainstream media, from invasion, Ukrainian army, the NATO forces, Putin dictator invading. So he's kind of just pressing that in a presidential way. And I have no problem you talking about it, but like you said a little earlier, Macho, the problem here is you have forced people to decide where they're standing without asking questions. So this is where propaganda is, right? This is where the war propaganda and things like that, which, it's well and alive in our country. This is what I think is happening here.
But do you have an issue with the fact that the first 10 minutes, 13 minutes is literally about Russia, Ukraine? This is not the State of the Union of the Ukrainian government or the Russian government or how we're dealing with it. That's what press conferences are for, right? This is about us.
I actually don't too much, to be honest, Macho, but let me explain why, right? If you're talking about this, you got to talk about the effects this is going to have on the American people when it comes to export imports, or he didn't do that, right? So I'm with you, but I think the frustration is coming how he's not connecting that State of the Union, like you said, to the American people.
He's not. I mean, again, 70%.
So that's why I'm with you, but I don't mind him talking. I don't like where he's going with it because it has nothing to do with really American interests, So that's kind of why I split lines with it.
Like I said, 70% of our crude oil is coming from them. So hello, that would be a State of the Union. And he tried to mend it, but he mended it way later about, the whole oil prices that he's trying to counter and change the course direction. So it's like, I just don't get it, but okay, is what it is. Let's see what else we got here.
Dollar war fund, worthless. We're choking Russia's access They're choking Russia's access to technology that will sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come. Tonight, I say to the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt leaders who built billions of dollars off this violent regime, no more. The United States, I mean it. The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for your ill-begotten gains. And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy.
So we're excluding the people too. It's okay to exclude them now. They're terrible people, by the way. This is what I'm saying. What does the Russian government have to do with the fucking people? Honestly, that has nothing to do with the people. That's like
so Macho. Why is he talking about this in this way?
Really?
What's the agenda here in your idea, in your mind?
To show that we're standing in solidarity with the Ukrainians, right? Like, you know,
and to push people to actually stand in solidarity.
Forget about Putin. Russia bad. Russian people bad, right? This is the same problem we had when we were going at it with the coronavirus, right? Mm-hmm. People were depicting this is what the press was pressing in. Why call it a China virus? Because if you call it a China virus, isn't that attributing to how we're addressing Chinese people, cutting flights off, cutting distribution off from China? Isn't that xenophobia, right? They literally came at the previous administration about this. So it's like, oh, so now we're going to cut off flights from Russians? What does Russians have to do with what the Russian government is doing? Even Russia is protesting in Moscow. We have people, citizens of Russia, protesting in Moscow, standing with Ukrainians, protesting. They may be protesting in a different light, but they're protesting. And so it's like, why would you cut off flights from Russia? What, as a masquerade, as a sign of show? Hurts our economy ultimately, right?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. My fault, I was on mute.
There's no idea what's coming. The ruble has already lost 30% of its value. The Russian stock market has lost 40% of its value, and trading remains suspended. The Russian economy is reeling, and Putin alone is the one to blame. Together with our allies, we're providing support to the Ukrainians in their fight for freedom. Military assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance. We're giving more than $1 billion in direct assistance to Ukraine,
Macho,
and we'll continue to aid the Ukrainian.
This, I think, is interesting. Putin just had a speech February 28th. I don't know if you saw his most recent speech.
No, I didn't.
2 days ago. So his most recent speech, check what he said. He said forces will now join Ukraine. This is very interesting. And these forces that join, they would launch missiles from cities where people are where it's populated. They want Russia to respond. And this is Putin's side. This is what he said. I'm not sure if this is true or not. But Biden seems to be validating that, right? That nations are going to get together. And now the other side is they're going to throw missiles in order to have Russia respond with missiles to those places in order for them to kill civilians. Right? So this is their goal to start.
They're going into guerrilla warfare now. They're going into guerrilla warfare.
So Putin actually said 2 days ago that these are the tactics of terrorists, and he pleaded with the Ukrainian people, do not let them use your children, wives, and mothers to take advantage of this crisis. Very interesting. What that means, I don't know, but it's more to
and
that.
It has to do with the people who are masquerading as the Ukrainian forces, right? The Ukrainian forces or the Ukrainian army is drastically different than what they're actually doing in the separatist regions. We already covered this ad nauseum, right? They're neo-Nazi. Well, they wouldn't call themselves neo-Nazis. You got the C-14 group. You have the some of the armed forces that are extremists on the front lines fighting and propagating this war. So, I mean, in all actuality, They're doing what the Middle Eastern people did to Americans when we invaded Iraq, right? It's a fair assessment. So
Yeah. So that's definitely a fair assessment. Yeah.
let's see.
As they defend their country and help
We'll
ease
move
their
forward
suffering.
after this part.
But let me be clear. Our forces are not engaged and will not engage in the conflict with Russian forces in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies in the event that Putin decides to keep moving west.
To not fight Ukraine. I got that.
For that purpose, we have mobilized American ground forces, air squadrons, ship deployments to protect NATO countries, including Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And as I've made crystal clear, the United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory with the full force of our collective power. Every single inch.
I think the guy he's so delusional. He's lost it.
It's like not intimidating at all, right?
And we're clear-eyed. The Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage. But the next few days, weeks, and months will be hard on them. Putin has unleashed violence and chaos. But while he may make gains on the battlefield, he'll pay a continuing high price over the long run. And a pound of Ukrainian people, the proud, proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have. They've known 30 years of independence.
He also said the Iranian people, by the way,
that they will not tolerate anyone who tries to take their country backwards. To all Americans, I'll be honest with you, as I always promised I would be. A Russian dictator invading a foreign country has cost around the world.
Told you. See?
And I'm taking robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy and that we use every tool at our disposal to protect American businesses and consumers. Tonight, I can announce the United States has worked with 30 other countries to release 60 million barrels of oil from reserves around the world. America will lead that effort.
By the way, Macho, you know who added reserves? You know who added to the oil reserves while he was president?
What was that?
Congress was fighting him? Trump.
So Trump added to those reserves.
Yeah, because remember, we were independent for the first time, so he wanted to leverage himself also in this fight with the tariffs. So he said, let's add to our oil reserve because this might get ugly. And, you know, this is where we're at now. Now he's using those oil reserves.
Got it.
30 million barrels of our own strategic petroleum reserve. And we stand ready.
So are we going? You going to the next segment here?
United with our allies.
I want to move forward
in this. These steps will help blunt gas prices here at home.
Cool. I just want to play one quick clip,
just
right?
A little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, go ahead.
So people can see, right, the perspective. Is going to be 10 seconds only. So this is Putin 2 days ago talking about the strategy of America and the other nations uniting with NATO and what they're going to have him doing. So this is what he believes. Moreover, according to available information, this is confirmed by objective monitoring. We are seeing this.
По имеющейся информации, и это подтверждается результатами объективного контроля, мы видим это. Бендеровцы и неонацисты выставляют тяжелое вооружение, в том числе системы залпового огня, прямо в центральных районах крупных городов.
Right in the central district of large cities, including Kyiv and Kharkov. They plan to force return fire by Russian strike systems against residential headquarters.
Российских ударных комплексов по жилым кварталам. По сути, они действуют
In effect, they are acting the
так же,
same
как
way
и
terrorists act
терроризм во
all over
всем
the
мире.
world.
Прикрываются людьми в надежде затем
Accusing
обвинить
Russian of
Россию в жертвах
civilian
среди мирного
casualties.
населения.
So essentially what he's saying is those casualties are not on us. Those are on y'all.
And essentially what he's saying is, I also told you, right? So if the media is not going to say that if he's doing this on purpose, very strategic, these press conferences.
But how much of he's lying? Like, let's say if he's lying, like if he's also propaganda.
If he's lying, I think we would know. I'll tell you how.
How?
Because we shouldn't hear no stories about missiles being shot from Russia into those cities prior to them doing it first, right? So it's we have so much information nowadays, but it's still a way to find out if NATO's infiltrating. Right now, I was looking into that, and if in the cities there's bases being headquarters of bases and missiles being established to launch, right? That'll be a red flag to me. Like, okay, you're doing what Putin said you would do. If not, other than Putin is lying. If he does it unprovoked, then he's lying, I would say.
Okay, okay. So you're saying that he's speaking ahead of the attacks, and
Yeah.
then it
If it
happens.
happens,
Oh,
this
got
is why
you,
he's
got
doing
you.
strategic press conferences because he's he is and most leaders will tell you this. It's not about liking Putin or not, but he's a tactician when it comes to this kind of thing. So they think all his moves from press conference, all that in the past, it proves that it's pretty planned, right? He likes to let
I
people
mean,
know and all that.
it's not even far fetched because even Obama said he said he had a
Mhm.
good working relationship with Putin. So now all of a
Yeah.
sudden he's the enemy. He's the big boogeyman. I mean, Obama, Bush, all these people said that this guy was good guy.
Mhm.
Now all of a sudden he's an enemy, and I just don't understand why would you put yourself in direct conflict with another superpower in the world? I guess this is a weird
Yeah. And I want to
endeavor.
play that to bring it home for that section, but yeah, go ahead, man.
But here's where he starts to talk about like the whole people living paycheck to paycheck. Check this out.
Resolve of the free world. We meet tonight in an America that has lived through two of the hardest years this nation has ever faced. The pandemic has been punishing, and so many families are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to keep up with the rising cost of
Can't
food,
stand this part
gas,
of his speech,
housing,
bro.
and so much more. I understand, like many.
I don't understand why they keep imploring to the people who live paycheck to paycheck. Like this whole argument about living paycheck to paycheck probably bodes well to maybe low income earners in like cities, but not for the vast majority of Americans,
Yeah,
right?
I think most Americans will probably label themselves as paycheck to paycheck.
In what way? In what sense?
Like they need the next paycheck in order to make sure they're good on their bills.
Yeah, but don't you pre-plan like bill payments, right? Okay, on this
There's
bill
your answer,
payment.
Macho. There's your answer. So
Oh, okay,
you're
okay,
both right.
okay.
You're both right. Let me tell you why really quick before you continue. You're right that people are technically not living to paycheck. But this is why I'm big on like when I talk about financial literacy and all that, we don't get taught that. So most people could be making well over, but most people are not budgeting, right? No, most people are not smart with their money, right? Because they don't
Well,
teach
even
none of that.
still, but even still, no one like only rich people have a large reserve to delegate or allocate their money. But the average middle income earner is going to be generating like we're not getting a pool of money, right? When we sign we don't sign contracts. Get like here's up front and here's $20,000 to pay your bills, and then there you go.
Mhm.
You're not living paycheck to paycheck. So in all actuality, we're going to be living in accordance to our pay periods. No.
Yeah. That's what he's alluding to, but he's gonna help you get out of that. That's the promise that never meets.
Oh, you're gonna help
There you
me
go. You
get out
see?
of a system in which is
Exactly.
it's just how it is, right? Okay, I got
Exactly.
Many
He's
of
here
you
to help,
did.
man.
My
Watch.
dad had to
His
leave his
dad.
home in Scranton, Pennsylvania to find work. So, like many of you, I grew up in a family when the price of food went up, it was felt throughout the family. It had an impact. That's when one of the first things I did as president was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan. Because people were hurting, we needed to act, and we did. Few pieces of legislation have done more at a critical moment in our history to lift us out of a crisis. It fueled our efforts to vaccinate the nation and combat COVID-19, delivered immediate economic.
wait. How do we go from paycheck to fuel our efforts to get people vaccinated? Like how is that like what are we doing? How are we connecting the two?
Bro, I cannot stand this part of the speech. I
Why?
cannot stand this part of the speech. Like
I mean, I don't
how you talk
understand it. I don't
how
know
you
how can
shut
you not stand it if I don't understand it. So help
no,
me
no,
help me
but
out.
he's pleading to the recovery of the economy, right? The paycheck to paycheck, and then COVID causing that. You shut down the economy, bro. You force mandated vaccines that thousands. You know
Not
how
just
passionate
him,
I am
even
about this.
Trump. Trump shut down
Yeah,
the economy too.
yeah. Trump shut down the economy, passed a stimulus bill, but the thing is he shut down the economy in a different way, right? So, for example, he gave them money to stay shut down. Trump was
Right.
trying to give money for it to stay open. So he didn't want business to close. Remember, Trump saying since the beginning, let's continue, push this economy forward, let's get back to work.
It was a
Now,
temporary shutdown under Trump, but it was a permanent shutdown under Biden.
the reason I can't stand this because this man now continues in this speech, right? If we'll get to this part, if not, we'll continue this sometime. But this man in this speech goes and says, COVID is behind us. Number one, nobody's wearing a mask in there, and we're business as usual. This is midterm election talk. So I'm not buying not 1 cent of this damn speech right here in this middle part. Am I buying?
Oh, you're not
Because
buying it at
you
all.
know how many thousands of people were affected by this just because you decided to do a federal mandate, bro? Like now you're saying that you're gonna help these people? It's a
Well, we
trap,
can
bro.
start
It's
with
like
the
the welfare
nurses.
system.
We could start with the nurses. We could also start with the truckers. The truckers are the ones who are drastically affected by the shutdowns. Why? Also, you have shipment containers sitting on the outskirts of
He's a
the
clown.
country.
This guy's a clown.
Shipment containers. You're not even letting them come in. So that means delayed transportation of our shipment of our
Yes,
food,
and that's
of
part
our
of the
supplies.
economy that you're
Yeah.
not talking about. Domestic violence went up. So don't get me started with this. Guy's a
Domestic
clown,
violence
bro.
too también.
He's
Woo,
a
that's
clown,
crazy.
bro.
Relief to tens of millions of Americans. It helped put food on the table. Remember those long lines of cars waiting for hours just to get a box of food put in their trunk. It cut the
Yeah.
cost of health care insurance.
Yo, bro, I'm done.
And as my dad used to
I'm
say,
done
it
with this
gave the
podcast, bro.
people just a little bit of breathing room.
He literally, I think he lost himself here. And he's literally compounding so many things in one
Yeah.
area that
Agreed.
a coherent person would listen to this and go, what does one thing have to do with the other?
Yeah.
What exactly are you talking about? So it's like he's using political politician rhetoric without having the political politician sharpness.
Yeah.
We clearly see
Facts.
he's lost that sharpness.
Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan.
He got boots because he lying.
The Democrats are booing. The Democrats are booing, actually. So it's like, first off, this was an absolute lie that was propagated by the New York Times. They were absolutely lying. They even have to correct this. And there was a corrected portion of it that is actually benefited 83% of middle income earners. And if you guys want to check it out, you guys could look it up for yourself. There's Tax Policy Center. You can check that out. You could look up even the Bureau of Statistics in terms of IRS numbers, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Treasury Department. There's so many areas that literally said that that's not true. From 2017 on to 2019, the tax cuts benefited mostly to middle income earners. Had nothing to
Facts.
do with the 1%.
The American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind. Folks,
I can't sit through this.
when the middle class grows, the poor have a way up and the wealthy.
Do you still build a work
The
schedule
middle
like
class
this?
grows.
Try building it.
The middle class grows. The poor has a. Yeah.
Oh,
This
we
is
got
the
two.
political
We
stuff.
got two. This is definitely the political stuff. Go ahead.
No. He's in the middle of what you nailed it, bro. Political rhetoric. He's in the middle of that.
But he's not sharp on it. You can
Nah,
see
he's not.
clearly.
I'm with you. I
He's
like
not
your
sharp on
breakdown.
it.
It's political rhetoric. He's just not sharp.
America used to have the best roads, bridges, and airports on earth. And now our infrastructure is ranked 13th in the world. We won't be able to compete for the jobs of the 21st century if we don't fix it. That's why it was so important to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law. And I thank my Republican friends who joined to invest.
Oh, Felicia.
Oh man, Felicia, I can't get more of this either right now.
She said, you know what she said once? Like the reason why she even knows about CNN and the highlights because we always mention what
we
they
play
say.
it, yeah.
She says she never watches CNN. Kills
Oh
me.
man,
Absolutely
she's
kills
smart.
me.
She's smart for that.
There's a lot that we want to get into, but we're gonna split this up in two.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
so far, it just really looks pretty bad. I mean, from all the news headlines, especially on the right, they're not really happy with the State of the Union. But again, in all actuality, I don't care what a politician says. I care about what you do. I care about the things that you get past that really affects us. He talks about the working economy and how it affects the paycheck to paycheck. In the other episode, we're going to talk about how it affects single parents. Listen, what affects people the most is when you shut down the economy, like Savory said. No doubt about it. When you shut
Yeah,
down the economy, he talked about creating 6 million jobs. Are you kidding me? Did you forget all the Democrat uh, uh, headlines from
bro.
PBS to ABC to uh, Pix 11? All the liberal media sites.
Somebody
What were
was
they
telling me
saying?
that they're
We covered
counting
this.
jobs, Macho. Somebody was saying that they're counting jobs of people who left the war on leave from COVID and came back. That's a created job for him. Somebody was
Wow.
breaking down how the administration was counting on, and I want to check that as we continue this for our next episode
But
because
we
it's
covered this on
strategic.
our podcast, guys. Check
Yeah,
in our archives. We literally covered the great resignation. The liberals were talking about it as if, like, yo, 10 million people, because they were walking off the job, 10 million jobs were available in the market. We literally covered this
crazy. Yep,
on
we did.
Drinks
We
with a
did,
Nobody. And it's like, you're going to say that you created 6 million jobs? Bro,
bro.
you were too busy being tyrannical that people started saying, I'm not going to go to work because it was fear mongering. It's like, oh, this is
Exactly.
this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. So it's like, wait a minute. What are you saying here? Because you're saying you created jobs while taking jobs. I
Yeah,
do
that's
not
crazy.
understand this, dude. So I don't care about what they say, and in all actuality. And I think for this last portion here, it's just a summary of that. So
Yeah,
what
and
is your final thoughts?
yeah, I also wanted to share to people, right, on the State of the Union. He shared about Russia, Ukraine conflict, right? Since I know we're going to move on from this for our next one, but did you know, this is an interesting sip on facts. Russia put their nuclear um, alert on high status.
Which means
So
that if
So they
anything
got all
goes,
them out. They got videos of them taking them out, putting them at the sea. And I'm describing not because I think we're gonna go into nuclear war. Hopefully not, But I'm describing the tension that we're back in, bro. We didn't have this kind of tension. It was just crazy, bro.
so
And
we're
it's just,
back in Cold War
yeah,
status.
it's just tension. I guess it's crazy. Yeah,
These
but yeah, man.
politicians and oligarchs, they just benefit off fear and benefit off having us in this tension so they can get the most money out of it. So
Facts.
that's why everybody in the hood is so skeptical of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want us to trust you while you continue using the same lie tactics. It's just incredible. But all right, guys, we'll see you guys right back here on Drinks with a Nobody on Friday. See y'all.